Scientists shocked. New evidence for the real proof of Jesus and his resurrection. They said it was fake, a medieval hoax. But what if the truth was hidden all along in faint inscriptions, desert dust, and human blood? This isn't about faith, it's about facts. Recent discoveries on the Shroud of Turin, one of the most controversial relics in human history, are shaking the foundations of science and belief. Inscriptions in 3 ancient languages. Soil from Jerusalem, dated to the exact time of Jesus. And human blood, matching another sacred relic. This isn't a theory, these are findings, and if they're real, they change everything. So stay with me, because what we're about to uncover might rewrite what we thought we knew. The discovery of the tomb. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem is believed to be the site of Jesus' crucifixion and burial. In the 4th century, Emperor Constantine ordered the construction of a church over this sacred site. Archaeological findings support the authenticity of this location, adding weight to the significance of the Shroud of Turin. The mysterious inscriptions. Vatican researcher Dr. Barbara Frail shocked the world. She claimed to have found almost invisible inscriptions on the shroud, written in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. Using advanced image processing, the words emerged like whispers through time. They formed what looks like an official Roman burial certificate, and not just any name. It reads, Jesus the Nazarene. Additionally, Professor André Marion and his student Anne-Laure Courage used digital imaging to reveal words like in Necem, Latin for toward death, Nazarenus, Iesou, Greek for Jesus, and IC for Isus Christus. Such findings show a level of authenticity that challenges the notion of a medieval forgery. The text suggests Jesus was condemned by both Roman and Jewish authorities and was given for burial under strict conditions. But here's the twist. No medieval forger would have dared to omit Christ or Messiah. That would have been heresy in the 1300s. Instead, it uses the politically charged title, Jesus the Nazarene, just as the Romans might have written it. Coincidence? Or a genuine fragment of 1st century history preserved in linen? The first photographic evidence. In 1898, amateur photographer Secondo Pia took the first photograph of the shroud. To his astonishment, the negative revealed a detailed image of a man's face and body, details not visible to the naked eye. This discovery sparked renewed interest and debate about the shroud's authenticity. Dust, soil, and pollen samples. Let's move from ink to earth. Beyond the inscriptions and bloodstains, the shroud bears marks consistent with crucifixion wounds, including those from a crown of thorns, nails, and a spear. Swiss criminologist Max Frey collected microscopic samples from the shroud. Among them, dust and pollen. But not just any pollen, species found only around Jerusalem, blooming in early spring, the exact season of Passover. Even more compelling, tiny particles of soil embedded in the fabric. When analyzed, they matched limestone from Jerusalem, chemically identical to samples taken from ancient Jewish tombs. And the strongest concentration? Around the nose, knees, and feet, where a body would have been dragged or fallen. A silent map of suffering imprinted in dust. The Sterup investigation. In 1978, the Shroud of Turin research project, Sterup, a team of scientists from various disciplines, conducted an in-depth analysis of the shroud over 5 days. Their findings concluded that the image was not painted, dyed, or artificially created. They identified human blood of type AB and noted that the image has characteristics that modern science cannot replicate. These results continue to intrigue researchers and believers alike, and recent studies show also signs of trauma-induced hemolysis, as in the person bled under extreme stress, exactly what you'd expect after scourging and crucifixion. The facts of the fabric. Even the fabric tells a story. Textile expert Mechthild Fleury-Lemberg studied its weave, a 3-to-1 herringbone pattern, not typical in medieval Europe, but found in cloths excavated at Masada, the last Jewish stronghold before the Romans crushed the revolt in 73 AD. The technique fits the timeline, the material fits the place. The fire and carbon dating controversy. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the 1988 carbon dating. It claimed the shroud was medieval. Case closed, right? In 1532, a devastating fire broke out in the chapel of Chambéry, France, where the shroud was being stored. The silver reliquary that held the cloth melted from the heat, dripping molten silver onto the folded linen and burning deep symmetrical holes through it. The nuns rescued the cloth and, shortly after, repaired the damaged sections using patches of contemporary fabric, without knowing that centuries later, those very repairs would cause one of the most misleading scientific results in history. The carbon dating tests, which dated the shroud to the Middle Ages, it matched the time of the repairs, not the original fabric. Julio Fantys research. Professor Julio Fantys of the University of Padua has dedicated his career to studying the shroud. He discovered that while the blood penetrated the fibers, the image itself only affected the surface, suggesting it wasn't painted. Fantys also analyzed a fiber sample from the shroud using 3 independent tests: mechanical tensile strength, infrared spectroscopy, and laser-induced fluorescence. All 3 methods converged on a stunning result. The linen dates to around 33 BC, placing it directly within the lifetime of Jesus. These advanced scientific analyses provided a far more precise and consistent age than the earlier flawed carbon dating from the repaired section. Furthermore, Fantys began by testing high-voltage electrostatic discharges on cloth, first managing to imprint his own hand. Then, incredibly, a full-body image. He found that only an intense vertical burst of energy could replicate the superficial shading and 3-dimensionality seen on the shroud. But this raises a question science cannot answer. What kind of force could emit such power 2,000 years ago? Fantys believes it wasn't just a physical phenomenon. He suggests that the image was burned into the cloth in the very moment of resurrection, through an unimaginable surge of energy, a divine explosion of life itself. Something no medieval forger, no scientist today could ever reproduce. A miracle, encoded in linen. So what are we left with? A cloth bearing the image of a crucified man, and a burial note in 3 ancient languages. Soil and pollen from Jerusalem. Blood from violent death. Is it absolute proof? No, but it's not medieval paint. It's not a forgery with pigments or brushstrokes. It's something much harder to dismiss, an ancient silence speaking louder than ever. Do you think we'll ever know the full truth? Comment your thoughts below, and if you want more untold discoveries, historical secrets and hidden truths, then like, subscribe, and join us here at Behind the Mask. We go where few dare to look.